Okay, welcome everyone. Super excited to have you all here. I'm sorry, let me make sure. There we go. Sorry about that. Thanks, Jennifer. So welcome everyone. And we are going to be doing a very special business call today. It is all about how to prospect and how to do the invite. So I have in the chat box here, okay, so tell me, what are your struggles? What are your biggest struggles when it comes to prospecting and the invite? Let us know, because we want to answer your questions, and there's still time to go text a friend and let them know that they can join us for this call. It is just so special to be here live, you guys, because you can ask questions and just like hear the feedback from everyone, but we are recording this. So I am Tracy Black, Crown Diamond, and today we're going to have some very special guest co-hosts who are going to be with us. We've got our gold leader, Christina Tuff, is amazing leader who's going to be sharing with us. We've got Stacy Cook, who is another gold leader. Oh my goodness, just wait until she shares everything with you. And then we've got a special guest, Platinum Leader Jennifer Gilcrease, who is a cross-line. What that means is not within our greater team, but she is cross-line to us under our enroller, Lindsay Cremont. And I just so value her feedback and opinion. And so you guys can get a pen, paper, like be ready to take notes and really kind of dig in, because this call is going to be phenomenal. Okay, so let's kind of get kick-started. For anybody who's a little bit newer, I like to kind of just preface this just a little bit, because I think it really puts us in the state of mind of like how to prospect and how to invite. So we all know this, right? Like network marketing, or maybe some of us are newer to this, but network marketing is a customer referral business model. So what that means is customers who love the product recommend it to people they know, and then Young Living pays about 50% of its revenue to people who share their story. So in essence, Young Living's marketing strategy is word of mouth advertising, okay? So that means, right, it's us who shares and promotes the oils, okay? So Young Living doesn't focus on TV commercials, billboards, magazine ads, newspaper ads, right? Like they don't do that traditional advertising model. We're the advertising, okay? And I think that's really an important distinguishing factor as we're thinking about this, right? Because sometimes we go, well, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to, you know, all these things that we tell ourselves. But the fact is, this is a word of mouth, right? Business. This is a word of mouth model. So, you know, we promote the product when we invite people to come and take a look, right? So it really is based on us. So before we get into the how to invite, let's talk a little bit about prospecting. So again, remember, because this is all word of mouth advertising, right? This is a relationship-based business. So we grow when we invite people. So I feel like that is such a thing to remember, because that's really what this whole, you know, business model is based on. It's based on our relationships. So we grow when we invite people. So that means we need to be constantly looking for people and working on inviting people. Okay, so that's called prospecting. So I've been doing this for 7 years. I am still prospecting. I am still inviting, right? So it keeps happening, right, as we continue to grow our business. So there are 2 types of prospects. It's those you know, also known as a warm market. And then there are those you're going to meet, also known as the cold market, right? So I know there's a lot of you, any introverts in here? Can you guys tell me in the chat box? I'm an introvert myself. How many of you feel like, so tell me in the comments, how many of you feel like you don't know a lot of people? How many, do this exercise with me, okay? How many contacts do you have on your phone? We did this exercise during Richard Brooks' Momentum Master class, and it was amazing. So if you don't know this, go to your phone, go to contacts, okay? So if you go to the contacts on your phone, you'll be able to see, if you scroll all the way down, how many contacts you have in your phone, right? So I've got 126 contacts. So of the people who are on your phone, how many of you, or how many people have you invited to Young Living? And then how many people have you invited to Young Living more than once? So here's the fact of the matter is that most people give up inviting after 2 or 3 tries, right? Because they get distracted or they just feel kind of defeated. But I want you to think about this. How many times did it take for you to finally say yes? Was it a social media post? Was it your enroller who followed up with you? Was it your enroller inviting you to a class? So do you know what happened to me? It took at least 8 or 10 exposures. It might have even been more than that. And I was the worst. I lurked. I never commented on my enroller's social media posts. I never told her I was even remotely interested. She had no idea. Like when you guys think of someone who ghosted you, that's me, right? Except she probably didn't even know. But here's the thing is I kept looking and I kept paying attention. But what if she stopped posting, right? Where would I be? Would I even be doing this business right now? Would I even be here? Or would I have joined with another business, right? Or think about this. What if she never even checked in with me? What if she wasn't like, hey, Tracy, what's going on? What if she quit after 2 or 3 tries, even though it took me at least 8 to 10 tries, right? So let me just tell you, I don't know if anybody's been has had a similar experience to this, but we are looking at getting our flooring replaced in our home. And I've been contacting all kinds of contractors. I've probably contacted like 10 different contractors. Have you had experience with contractors before? It's really hard to get them to give back to you, right? Let me just tell you, I've had some guy who came in, took all the measurements and like was here. He was like super transactional, right? Like boom, that was it. Had a couple of other guys who like took the measurements, talked to me a little bit, and then boom, after 2 or 3 tries, they were done. There's one guy, I kid you not, twice a week, he's checking in on me. What's going on? Hey, do you need any help? Can I help you with this? Do you want me to help you with the design? Can I help you pick out the flooring? Tell me where you are. Do you need some help? He is like so on top of it. I've never experienced it with a contractor before. I even told my husband, Trevor, I was like, this dude really wants our business. Like, I am going to go with him, right? Not necessarily the cheapest, but in my mind, I'm thinking, geez, if he is following up with me so much now, think about how great he's going to be when I actually hire him, right? It won't be like he comes in, he ghosts me, right? He drops off the materials, doesn't come back, right? I know he is super on top of it. And I want you to kind of like think about that. That's his business, right? And he's the one that is like floating to the top for me. He's the one I remember because he's the one that keeps checking back. He didn't just like drop a quote and then leave. Like he keeps coming back. And so I want you to think about, you feel like you're inviting all the time, but are you really inviting all the time? And are you making it about you or are you making it about them? So I'm going to pass this over to Christine now to talk about warm market.
Thank you, Tracy. That was amazing. I love all the things that she had to say. And I'm literally going to kind of piggyback off of what she said, but it might be a little repetitive, but I feel like it's good for all of us to hear. So, warm market. What is even your warm market? Raise your hand if you know what that means. So, warm market is your people that you know. So, the contacts in your phone, I looked through it, I have 829. I guarantee you, I have not messaged that many people. So, yeah, I have a lot. So that's a lot of people. And that's a lot of people that's in my warm market that I can reach out to. Okay. So have I talked to these people? All of these? Do I have like a great relationship with all of them? No. So the point of telling you about this is because you have these connections with people, but I don't want you to just go and message this random person that you haven't texted since 2015. Like, that's not how we do this. And I don't raise your hand if you have ever had somebody that you're like friends with on Facebook or friends with on maybe your phone, they have your contact, but you hadn't talked to them in years and they're like spamming you with, hey, I just started this, fitness business. Would you like to join my fitness team or whatever? And you're like, who are you again? I haven't talked to you in 4 years. Like, what? So that's not what we're teaching you to do because I don't know about you, but I hate that. Yeah, it's very icky. Exactly, Tracy. So, the point of all of this is to build a relationship with people authentically and to authentically build connection with them. And the invite may not happen right away. The invite, maybe if you have like a really close relationship, like your mom, your sister, your best friends, your circle of friends that you talk to all the time, those, if you're brand new to this business, those are going to be your best people because you already have a good established relationship with them. And when you invite them, you're going to be candid, you're going to be authentic, you're going to just say something like, hey, this may not even be for you. I'm kind of nervous to even ask you about this because I don't want you to think that I'm like going to be another, like one of those people that spams their friends. But I just started using these oils and, or I've been using these oils for a while and I'm in love with them. They've helped me with XYZ. And I know you have this XYZ problem. Maybe this can help you. Like that is how you're going to reach out to them. Or it could even be as far as like the business side too. Like, I've been sharing Young Living oils with people for a little while, and I got my last order paid for with my Young Living check. I can help you with that. So you're going to be candid with them and authentic. And whenever you like are getting like messaging people or talking to them, you're gonna get to the point. Don't be like, "Hey, how are you?" Or and like do all this small talk in the beginning. Like just get to the point. And I love what like Tracy said. We're in this training right now with Richard Blissbrook, and it's called Momentum Mastermind. And he talked about like how to be authentic and candid and get to the point. And you're not going to do small talk with people just for like a few, like, hey, how are you? How are your kids? How's this going? Hey, by the way, I wanted to invite you to this class. Like people kind of can start seeing through that, like especially if you haven't had contact with them for a really long time. Um, you want to build that relationship with them first, so they're not like, well, what does she want? Why is she messaging me? What does she want from me? And like what Tracy said is you definitely want to come at it from how can I bring value to them, not what are they going to do for me, because that is definitely people will like smell that from a mile away. At least like my personality too, I get so turned off by that. um, I just want to tell a quick story. I don't want to take this want this to take forever, but I am going to tell a story because it has really it woke me up to this. So about 3 or 4 years ago, well, 3 years ago, 3.5, I had my third son and he was 5 days old. He was in the hospital, or I had a C-section. We came home. I posted about all of it in Facebook. You know, tons of people were congratulating me and reaching out to me, messaging me. And then when he was 5 days old, he started running a fever, and we had to take him to the hospital. And he had to be admitted, have a spinal tap, have all this stuff done. And so we were posting about it on Facebook, like, hey friends, we could really use the prayers for our 5-day-old baby. We don't know what's wrong with him. This is kind of a scary time for us. Side note, he ended up being totally fine. It was no big deal. But while I was in the middle of it, before we had had any sort of answers, and people are messaging me on Facebook about, hey, how's your baby doing? All this thing. Well, I had a friend message me out of the blue asking me if I would host a party for her new business. And I remember thinking, no, my baby's in the hospital. Leave me alone. Like, if you had just checked my Facebook for 2 seconds, you would know that the last like 3 posts I had done about were updates about my baby in the hospital, you know, like with IVs and all this stuff attached to him. Like, I just posted this 12 hours ago. Don't message me asking me to host a party for you. And that really woke me up. I'd already been in this business for like 5 years, but I was just like, it really drove the point home to me. No, even if you haven't like talked to somebody in a while, go check their Facebook, go get to know them better. Don't just spam them, because that is just the biggest turnoff. And I know this girl, I know what she sells, and I have other friends that sell those things too. And to be honest, I have such a bad taste in my mouth. I won't go to her. I'll go to my other friends. So that's just a little side note story there. Just maybe keep that in mind. Okay. So, what if Young Living is exactly what they need in their life right now? So, think about that. Like, certain personalities sometimes have a hard time wanting to sell to their friends. If you're a yellow, I'm kind of like that. Yellow blues, like maybe like that a little bit more. Like, I have a hard time being like, hey, let me make money off of you. Other personalities don't really see it that way, but I kind of look at it like that sometimes. And then somebody told me one time, they're like, stop thinking of it that way. You need to look at it from the perspective of you're helping them. What if this is exactly what they need in their life right now, which is, it changed my life. I needed it. I'm so glad that I had so many exposures to Young Living. And I never felt like the person that I enrolled with is making money off of me. I just know that they helped me. So think of it from that perspective. And like Tracy said, It took me, if y'all want to type in the box, type in the chat, how many times do you feel like you had to be exposed to Young Living or be exposed to the business before you finally said yes? For me, it was probably like 8 or 9 times, but y'all comment and tell me here. Yeah, that's right, Laura. It's all about helping. Y'all comment here how many times you feel like you saw posts about it or people contacted you. I was contacted at least 4 or 5 times by private message and was sent links from people to enroll at least 4 or 5 times. And I even joined a Facebook group and watched these posts constantly. So my exposure was even more than that probably before I finally enrolled. Yeah, it took over a year, 8 to 10 times. Exactly. So like I said, I didn't feel like those people that messaged me their link reaching out to me were bothering me. I had already expressed interest. I was already asking questions about the oil. So it wasn't a bother to get that link. I appreciated that I was given an easy way to enroll with somebody because I was like, how do you do this again? How do you get your own kit? Like, what is this about? We've been in it long enough and we've already done it. So we feel like it's easy. But sometimes the people, they don't understand how to go like, wait, you have to buy a kit of oils or you have to buy a membership. They don't understand. So it's so good to just to make it easy for people. You're not bothering people. Just remember that. Okay. Same thing with the oils with the business side. How many people do you know that could use this business? Maybe they're struggling in their finances, they're in a massive amount of debt, or they're trying to put their kids through college, or they are having trouble paying their bills. So being exposed to this business, I was never offended by my enroller or Tracy, my sponsor, for reaching out to me and talking to me about this business side and the money you could make and how you can get your oils paid for and things like that. Sorry, I have a baby over here. I'm also trying to like wrangle. Okay. So, and I want you to remember, what if they say yes? Like, how awesome would that be? What if they say yes to the oils or say yes to the business? What if you could only invite them today, and after today, you could never invite them again? Think of that. What if you got, listen to this. What if I gave you $1,000 for each invite? Would you still make the excuses that you're making to not invite them? I feel like if I got $1,000 for every person I invited, I'd be allaying a whole lot more people, wouldn't you? So think of it from that way. Let's see. I'm going to just tell you and be totally candid here. The truth is most of us stop after one invite because we're afraid of the rejection. We're afraid that people are going to think we're dumb, or maybe they're not going to appreciate that we reached out. And I will tell you, I'm right there with you on that. Like, I have definitely felt those feelings and been nervous about, like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be rejected. And the truth is people are just busy sometimes. They're not rejecting you. They're just busy. Like, they have kids and they have lives and things are going on in their life. And I can't tell you how many times I'm so, like Tracy said, I'm so thankful I've been followed up with several times because my life is busy. I've got 4 kids. I'm homeschooling them. I need people to follow up with me and remind me. So you're not bothering people. It's not, if people ghost you, it's not necessarily because they don't, like you or they're mad that you reached out. More than likely, I mean, why do you ghost people? More than likely it's because I forget to message them back, or it's maybe because I'm afraid also to say no, and I'm afraid of the awkwardness. And so giving people that ability, that like the okay, it's okay to say no. So a lot of times when I do invite people, I'm like, hey, I'm actually a little nervous to even message you about this because I don't want you to be mad that I'm like spamming. I don't want you to think I'm spamming you or something along those lines. But I've been using these oils for a while, and I noticed that you said something on your post the other day about your kiddo needing blah, 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 XYZ. These oils could really help you. Would you like to come to a class to see what it's all about? We are going to teach a class on this on whatever day. I think the next class we have is on the 15th. And then at the end, saying something like, a no is totally fine. If it's not your thing, totally fine. You can just tell me no. Just giving them that relief of like, you're not going to bother them or be mad. Saying a no is totally fine. At least you're going to get a response. You'll get an answer. So yeah, let's see. I think that's really all I had. I think Tracy also has like a little story to talk about with this. Don't you have a story to mention, Tracy?
Yeah, just kind of like on the point of like, if just imagine if each invite was worth, like somebody would pay you like $1,000. So my enroller, Lindsay, was like, hey, if you can get 50 people together, I will come to you. She lives in Austin, I'm in San Diego. And I'm like, I don't even know 50 people, right? Like, you know what I mean? Again, introvert here, right? But that's not true, right? We tell ourselves this, that's not true. I mean, we all easily know like 500 people. Like, let's be real, like people we work with, you know, kids, parents of kids, you know, we've done this exercise in the Raise booklet, right? Like find your first 40. And so I treated that like, oh my gosh, Lindsay coming here, like she booked like a hotel, like a meeting room, like we did this huge presentation. And I treated it that way. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like each person, I'm getting paid like $1,000 on each person. So I was like messaging everybody, right? And so just kind of like keeping that in mind, like, are you treating the invite like someone's paying you $1,000 a head? That's kind of how I was doing it in my mind. And I told Lindsay this, I was like, I will do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I will find 50 people and they will be butts and seats at this meeting. And we still kind of joke about it, but I mean, like at least a third of them signed up. I mean, it was pretty crazy. I mean, it was amazing. And it really just kind of showed me that like, wow, I just need to do the work. And here's the thing, everybody that was there was interested in the oils, right? Like they were already pre-qualified. They already had that interest. That's why they were there in person, was to learn more. So, you know, just kind of like getting over that fear. And just one more thing that I wanted to say is, you know, we're afraid that people are going to say no. I'm just gonna like tell you the punchline. Most people will probably say no, and that's okay. I mean, I said no the first time. I said no many times, right? And so it's okay. We'll talk about working through the no, but just kind of learning to accept that a no is okay, and it's not a no forever. But like, you know, maybe they can even introduce you to other people who might say yes, but a no is not the end of the world. I said no. Tell me how many no's you said before you said yes. But that's just kind of my quick story.
Hey, and one more thing I want to add before we turn it over to Jennifer. I think you're next, Jennifer. But I love what Richard Blissbrook told us about when we are writing an invite. Like, I have not, some people have really good at responses with like just copying and pasting things to people to invite them, but I don't. And I feel like the more authentic I am with writing, I'm sorry, my baby's a little fuzzy. I hope you can hear me still. But the more authentic you can, the way you can write it is maybe imagine how you would want your friend. Imagine your friend is the one selling the oils and you have no idea about anything oil related or anything about MLM or network marketing, and they're wanting to reach out to you. What would be the best way for them to write a message that would appeal to you, that you would make you want to say yes or make you more interested, not just want to read the first sentence and be like, she's just spamming me. So write it out how you would want to be reached out to. And I feel like that has been the biggest game changer. And since I've started really looking at it from that perspective, I've gotten so many more responses than people than just ghosting me and not wanting to, answer my questions. So anyways, that's all I have to say. I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Such great information. Oh, I'm so excited about this class. This is so good. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about now is cold market. Okay, so these are the people that you're going to meet. Okay, so where do you meet these people? What type of people are they? Okay, this could be people that you meet on social media. Maybe it's people that you meet at your kids' school. So it's moms that you meet at school, friends of friends that you have, people you meet at vendor events, your kids' sporting events, anywhere, anywhere, anywhere. Okay. Grocery store, anywhere. So, how do you find new people? Again, anywhere. Just be open to meeting new people. That's what this whole business is about, right? It's a relationship business, it's networking, it's always constantly meeting new people. And I know right now with everything going on, we have all been at home a lot more than we're used to, right? So maybe you're feeling like, but I'm not seeing that many people in person, or I'm not seeing as many people in person. So I just want to encourage you, you can still be meeting new people, okay? Social media has just exploded even more over all of this because that is how we've really been able to stay connected with people. And so just connecting with people on social media. So maybe starting up a relationship again with some people that you haven't talked to in a long time. And this doesn't mean like what Christina said, doing those gross, awkward messages. That's not what we're talking about at all. It's like genuinely starting up a conversation or relationship again with people that you had cared about, that you had been friends with. You can even join like other Facebook groups. So say you're really into gardening, or maybe you're wanting to learn more about fermenting foods or things like that. There are so many different groups out there on Facebook, or even a local group that you can join and get to meet new people there. So don't ever use an excuse that you're not able to leave your house as much, because there's lots of different ways to still meet new people. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. um, and then Tracy had mentioned the RISE booklet. So I know Tracy's done RISE trainings, and I've done it with my team as well. It's so good. And so you make that 40 list, that list of 40 people. So go through that. Have you already contacted all these people? Do you need to make another list? So that's a great list to have. So now what I want to talk about is, how do you authentically meet these people? Okay. This is just, there are going to be 6 really great steps. So make sure you've got your pencil, your pen, your paper, or whatever you want to take notes with. Okay. So the first step is to connect. So what is connecting? That is just simply saying hi, right? That's starting the conversation. Um, and so it's just connecting with strangers anywhere at any time. And if you can get the conversation going, just finding out a little bit more about themselves, about them. And I'm going to give you some more ideas for that. And in the training we're doing with Richard Brooke, he gave like a really neat example. And he'd even said, like, this doesn't usually, it was just kind of out of the blue, but him and his wife live in Hawaii, and they were having lunch at a hotel. And of course, people come and visit there all the time. And he just said that him and his wife, Kimmy, they're curious. They're just constantly looking around. And this good looking older couple kind of walked by. Richard kind of made eye contact with the man. He smiled, just kind of connected a little bit that way. And then he kind of just made eye contact throughout, just whatever. And then this other couple walked by, and I think they like had a shirt on, like just married or something like that. And so Richard just genuinely was like, hey, did you guys just get married? And so they said, oh, yeah, we did. They kind of started a little conversation. And then that other older couple came up to the table. They had finished eating, came up, and Richard just kind of asked the older couple, oh, are you guys married? How long have you been married? And he's like, actually, we're engaged. And they just started this conversation. And Richard and that older man, they like connected and exchanged information. And Richard's like, hey, whenever you guys are back on the island, contact me. And it was just like, just this candid, like, they just connected, right? And so he was just open. Richard's just always open to connecting with people. So it was just really neat. That story was really neat. So you can connect with, waiters. Think of people that you see all the time. And again, it's just saying hi, just getting to know them. So that's the first step, is connecting. The second step is being curious. Okay, so if you are curious about people, you will always be asking them questions about themselves. So it's putting it back on them and not on yourself. It's not having like a list of questions you want to ask. It's kind of trusting your tuition and what you're going to say next. Like Richard was saying, I have never asked a stranger, are you married, or how long have you been married, or anything like that? But it was a natural part of the conversation. That man came up, he was talking to newlyweds. And so it just like, it was, Richard used his intuition, and it just felt like such a natural conversation. So you're not like really strategizing or planning, it's just being curious. And the way to be curious is step 3, which is being present. Okay, so you want to be present in the conversation. You don't want to be thinking, what am I going to say next? What am I going to make for dinner tonight? Like all these things that go through our heads. Like it's so hard to be present. And you can even think about, you can even catch yourself if you are talking to someone and you find your mind wandering, catch yourself and just stop and just listen to exactly what they're saying. And then you'll know what question to ask next. Okay. So just practice being present and really listening to what they're saying, just letting them talk and being quiet. So then step 4 is being candid. Okay. So this is just being, and Christina talked about this, it's being authentic, it's being genuine, it's being confident and clear with your answer. So if they ask you a question, if they ask you a question about what you do or anything, you're not coming up with these weird, vague, even like cheesy answers. You're just being honest. Hey, I sell essential oils, or hey, I'm really into natural living and non-toxic cleaner. You're not like kind of dancing around the answer. You're just creating trust. And by being very honest, very clear with your answers, you are creating that trust with them. And then they just kind of trust everything you're saying since you're being so honest. Step 5 is be of service. So figure out, how can you be helping people? And of course, we help them with oils and everything like that. But if you're curious and if you're present and you're getting to know them, maybe you'll find out that they're really into, again, like gardening or cooking or things like that. And so you can, even if you come upon some really cool article about gardening, you can send it their way. Hey, Susie, I know you love gardening. I saw this article, so I wanted to send it your way. Like that just shows that you are listening, you care, and you're trying to help them. And so just kind of being aware of that. Richard was saying he does that all the time. He just sends people information that has like nothing to do with the oils, but just being of service to them. And step 6 is to be patient. So you want to just be patient with people. You want to open people up. You want to get to know them. You're not rushing the relationship. You're not rushing it so you can hurry up and invite them to a presentation or a class or anything like that. If you are patient, if you follow these steps and you're connecting, you're curious, you're present, you're really listening, then you will hear them invite you to invite them. Like they will give you that opening that you're like, okay, they're looking for like a better cleaner. I can invite them to what I have. So if you practice all these and be patient, then you will have that invite. One more thing I wanted to talk about was form. And I know a lot of you are familiar with this, but this is kind of a way to think of some things you can ask them about. So form stands for family, occupation, recreation, and then message. Okay, so when you are asking them questions, find out about their family. Are they married? Do they have kids? What do their kids do? Are they into sports, arts, music? Just kind of asking them about their family. People love to talk about themselves. So you just keep bringing the questions back to them. You keep asking them questions. So family and then occupation, what do they do for a living? That's one of the first questions many people ask. Oh, what do you do? What do you do for a living? So find out what they do. Do they like their job? What do they like about it? Just asking them questions about that. And then recreation, what do they like to do for fun? You can ask them questions about that. And then again, going through all this, you'll eventually get to invite them to take a look. So all of this is just really authentically building connection, either in person or social media, but it's getting it to where you're strong enough in that relationship that you feel comfortable to do the ask, to do the invite, which Stacy's going to talk about now.
Thank you, Jennifer. Those were such good tips. I love it. Yeah, I want to share with you guys a little bit more about the invite. You've heard Christina and Jennifer and Tracy all talk about just taking a look. And that language might be familiar. You might be familiar with it or maybe not. But the idea behind that is that when we're inviting a prospect to learn more about products, the business, we're inviting them to just take a look. It's easy breezy, non-committal, low key. We are not asking them to buy something. We are not asking them to make a commitment. We're not asking for their firstborn child. We are just saying, just take a look, you know? So that language works really well. Like Christina mentioned, you're going to want your invitation to be really authentic, right? And really personal. And however that looks in terms of, I know that you are always looking for new, wellness or natural solutions or whatever. I'm going to this class, I'm teaching this class. Would you be open to just taking a look? And I like to add in and ask people if they're open to it, because it is our instinct to be open and not closed-minded, right? Everyone wants to consider themselves open-minded. So if you say, are you open to just taking a look at this class? It's a strong no if you're going to get a no. If someone's like a maybe or a yes, you might get a foot in the door there. So that's just some language you can think about using. And when we talk about, what are we inviting them to? We have a lot of things we can invite people to. We can invite them to classes. To be honest, that's typically what I'm inviting people to, because I'm trying to always make sure I have classes scheduled, either ones that I'm teaching or ones that my upline is teaching or crossline is teaching that we're collaborating on. So I always have an event or a class to invite people to. But if you don't have that, you can invite people to just take a look at a video. We have some video resources we're going to share. There's one that is on the business called 4 Minutes That Could Change Your Life. And I think, Tracy, are we going to be able to share these in the chat? Oh, you've got it. Awesome. Thank you. And that one's focused on inviting people to take a look at the business opportunity. And then there's one called What's Under the Kitchen Sink video, which is fantastic for anyone who might be looking for some more chemical-free types of options, and that's focused on the oils. You can invite them to just take a look at a video of yourself that you made, sharing your own 1 to 2 minute story. Why did you start using oils? What was the change? Where were you? What happened? Where are you now? So it's very, you can ask them to just take a look at whatever makes sense for what you have access to and what's available to you. And then what I also like to tell people is, this might not be a fit for you. This might not be what you need right now, and that's okay. A no is fine, but could you please just let me know either way? Because you really want to hear back from them. It's not really an invitation if you just threw it out there and you never heard anything back, because you don't even know if they got it, right? So I always ask people to get back to me either way. And if they do say no, it's really important that we honor their no, right? You don't want to be pushy. You don't want to argue. You don't want to try and convince. You just say, tell them, I hear you. I get it. And then one thing you can do, and this might not be appropriate for all the contacts you reach out to, but I feel like especially for people who you're close to, who know that you've been on this journey, whether it's the business journey or a health journey, just asking them permission to keep them posted on your progress and on your journey. This is important to me. Would it be okay if I just kind of keep you posted on how this is going for me? And that is, then gives you permission to check back in, and potentially that no might turn into a yes at some point. It might not, that's okay, but you've asked permission. So you've done it in a way that honors that initial no that they gave you. So those are some more things about how we're inviting, what we're inviting to. I think there are a couple of mistakes that we often make with inviting. And that is that we can be really, really passive, right? We can schedule that Facebook class and then just go in and be like, I'm going to invite all my friends. Look, I invited 100 people. You did not invite 100 people. You spammed 100 people. Just okay, it happens. But there's a better way. And that is doing those personal invitations. And so I think that, with your friends, you're going to invite through whatever means you normally communicate with them. So if you text them, you invite through a personal text. You use Facebook Messenger with them, do Facebook Messenger. Do you video chat with them or Marco Polo or whatever? You use that method. You use that method that is consistent with your relationship with the person. But even if one of my good friends invites me to something through a Facebook invite, I'm like, they didn't really mean to invite me. That might have been a mistake. I was just on that list, because I don't know how sincere that is. It's not personal. Christina and Jennifer have been talking about, it's not authentic. So definitely individual invitations. Tell them, ask for a response. No is fine. And actually, a no is better than no response, right? Because then you've at least, know that it's been heard. Um, and one of the other mistakes, aside from, that kind of like passive, not real invite, is we spend more time planning our classes, creating graphics for our classes, gathering supplies, organizing supplies, making labels, all those types of things, than actually inviting to our classes or events or whatever it is that we're going to invite them to. So most of our time should be spent on inviting. If you are planning for a 1-hour class, you should be spending 4 to 5 hours inviting. Inviting is the most important part of your class, because if no one shows up, you don't need to have your class. So it's really important to hone in on that. We have so many resources, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel with classes. We have scripts, we have graphics, we have so many things for people to use. So you don't really need to focus your time there. Focus your time on what is unique to you. And what is unique to you is your invite and the people you're inviting. So that's where you should really be spending your time. So when I look at my business, I can see that the times that I had big growth were times that I was really focused on inviting. There are times where I was keeping my calendar really full of classes, which means I had to be inviting because no one likes no one showing up to their classes. So it's really, if you're looking to grow, then you're really going to be honing in on inviting. And if you're inviting, one thing that we're doing actually right now in this Momentum Masterclass is we're tracking our invites. And if you are tracking your invites, or you have an invitation goal, like let's say your goal is to invite one person per day. Well, if you're going to invite one person per day, you're not just going to ask one person per day, because you need to get a response back, right? And not everyone you ask is going to give you a response back. So if you're looking to invite one person per day, you might be asking 5 people. You might be doing 5 reach outs to different people, and one of those people might get back to you, and then that's one invitation. So tracking that is really good, and it will help give you some understanding of, how many people do I have to ask to get an invitation to then do my class or my presentation. And there's a really great stat tracker that Tracy is going to share a little bit more about with us.
Oh, so good. I hope you guys are taking lots of good notes, right? Isn't this amazing? And I'm going to share the stat tracker with you. I'm going to post it here so that you can grab the link. So this stat tracker is from Richard Blissbrook. But I will tell you, okay, just like Stacy had just said, we had something that was very similar to this stat tracker. It's called an abundance tracker. So if you have that, use that as well. I'm going to tell you right now, the times I saw the most exponential growth in my business was when I lived and died by that abundance tracker or stat tracker. I don't know what it is, right? So I'm a very digital person, right? Everything's digital. I don't like to have like printed anything because I just don't like the clutter. But I have a printed version of that stat tracker, and I would print it out and I would physically write it in. And I don't like seeing blank spaces. I don't know if you're the same way, but I was like, oh, it's like 7 o'clock at night and there was not an invite yet today, right? Like I had a goal to do it. And I'm like, I have to figure out a way to make this happen. I'm not eating dinner until this is done. And I love what Stacy said was, if you have a goal to invite once a day, that doesn't mean you're reaching out to one person a day. Like you might be reaching out to 5 to 10 people a day. So I think in our mind, we have done reach outs. And that was such a clear definition that we heard from Richard that I thought was so good. He was like, if there's an invite, right, like a class invite on Facebook, and you're like passively inviting people, that's not really an invite. That's a reach out. The invite doesn't count unless you get a response, yes, nor maybe. And like Stacy said, a no is still better than no response. But it gives you an opportunity to go, hey, just wanted to circle back with you and find out, is this the right time for you? It's okay if you say no, right? Like give them an out rather than being like, I need you to come to this class right now. But when you give them an out, it's like, it's okay if this isn't the right time. I have other classes that maybe that will have other times that are better for you, right? But I will tell you, when you track and you make those goals for yourself, there's something in your brain that it helps to regulate in other areas too. And I'll give you an example. So for me personally, okay, I love doing Zoom classes. Do you know why? I basically can roll up 5 minutes before the Zoom class because I've taught so many, right? Or if you haven't taught them, we have scripts, right? Or your upline has a script. Print the script, read the script, right? Like it's already done for you. Facebook classes are awesome. And I know they can be great for reaching like an international audience, right? Like translations, or maybe people who, need to have like the captions. I think they serve a purpose, but every time for me personally, I like to do a Zoom class or an in-person class because there's not a lot of prep work involved. I have definitely been caught in that circle, right? Or that revolving door of like, but it has to be so pretty and I have to have these graphics and I have to make all these like beautiful things. But when it really comes down to it, if only 2 people show up and none of them sign up, what was all that time that I spent creating all those beautiful things? What was it for? Right? And again, think about your own team. Is that duplicable? Right? So does your own team now think, I have to create this beautiful graphics and all these beautiful things, right? In order for me to be able to teach a class. Like that's not it at all. Again, I want you to think, can you just roll up 5 minutes before the class with the script in hand and be like, all right, I can teach this. Because again, write this in big, bold letters if you've got a notepad. 80 to 90% of your time needs to be spent on prospecting and inviting. That's where all your time should be spent, right? So creating graphics, you don't need any of that. It's done for you. We've got the scripts and the graphics. We've got all that for you. It's all done. You just need to focus on the inviting and the prospecting. Even if you're teaching your own class, it's already done for you, right? I would suggest, I think a mix of both is really good. You teach your own, you invite to something that we have, but I'm just telling you, it's something that I'm constantly telling myself. I'll be in the middle of doing something and I'm like, is this where I should be spending my time right now? And I want to tell you something because Christina and I were just talking about this and I loved it. It was so, so good. So I want you to really think about this. We think we're being consistent, but we're not being consistent in the things that really matter. Oh, isn't that so good, right? Graphics, reposting stuff, organizing supplies. You know what that is? It's busy work. We keep ourselves busy because we think, right? Like this is what I do for my business. That is not what you do for your business. That doesn't count as business hours, okay? That's like fluffy stuff. What really matters is connecting and inviting people, the follow-up. That's where the bulk of your time, 80 to 90% of your time. So whatever you need to do to like get that reminder to yourself, I have it written down. I'll even have like reminders like on my calendar. Sometimes I just have to tell myself like, is this really going to move the needle? Is this really going to get me more enrollments? Or do I need to get back to inviting? That's why I love that stat tracker. So whether it's a stat tracker that we're sharing with you, or it's the abundance tracker, it just gets you in that mindset of like, okay, what are my daily goals? The number one daily goal that I have is to invite every single day. So that might mean I need to do 8 to 10 reach outs to people, right? But I need to invite, I have to have an answer from at least one person a day. So yeah, as far as like stat tracker versus abundance tracker, they're very, very similar. What it does is you're tracking your personal enrollments, your team enrollments, your overall growth, your ER percentage for your team, right? Like you can track both of those in both trackers. The stat tracker I like just a little bit better because there's an additional sheet where you're tracking your invitations, how many presentations you're doing, and how many enrollments you're doing. So it just kind of gets you in that mindset of like, if you're not teaching a class each week, right? Are you inviting someone to a class that we're teaching? Or sending them a video or doing a watch party. You guys, there's so many creative ways to do this. I have a team up in Riverside and one of the team members wasn't quite comfortable teaching her own class yet, even with the script. You know what she did? She got everybody around a couch and she played a video from YouTube of me teaching the class. And then as I was like, and lemon, she would like pass around the lemon oil. Like there's so many cool ways and creative ways you can do this. It literally could be sending a video or doing a watch party. Like you could do a watch party even on Zoom, invite them to a Zoom, share your screen, somebody else teaches it. So it doesn't always have to be you, and that's okay. But how many presentations are you doing a week? How many invites are you doing? That's why I like that stat tracker, is that it puts a lot of that onus back on me, and I'm like, oh, I better get on it. So it's a constant edit process because we get stuck, right? I'm guilty of this. I've been in the middle of making graphics and I'll be like, this is not where I should be spending my, I'm done. It doesn't need to be pretty, right? Pretty is not going to get me the enrollment. What's going to get me the enrollment is the connection, right? The follow-up. And I just go back to that my flooring contractor who like texts me twice a week, right? He is like on it, right? You want to, I feel like that sets a precedent for other people when you're consistent, right? And getting back. And here's the thing. I love what Jennifer was saying, like being of service. This contractor was like, do you need someone to help you with the design? Do you need someone to help you pick up materials? And I'm like, yes, I would love all of those things, right? So just like sending an article, like, have you seen this video? Stink, it's so good. Like, here you go. Or those 2 videos that we just shared that Stacy just talked about, like, you know what? I don't know if you've ever considered what's under your sink, but here's a video, watch this. Each of those videos tells the person who's watching to get back with the person who sent it to them. So it's almost like you're halfway getting them to come to a class already because they're already interested. So use the tools, right, that we already have. And again, just constantly reminding yourself 80 to 90% of your time needs to be focused on prospecting and inviting. Again, I have to remind myself all the time. So whatever that looks like for you, if you're digital, reminder on your phone, put it on your calendar, print out the stat tracker, use it digitally, whatever. Put it in a pretty notebook if that helps you, right? But just don't get stuck on all the different other things. That's like admin, right? That's not business building. You want to be focused on business building. So, so many great things I hope you guys learned today. One more thing that I wanted to say was not only don't get focused on the busy work, but focus on the things that matter. That's really what it's all about, right? Be consistent in the things that matter. People is what matters. The other thing that I wanted to say is the no, right? Again, just kind of like, I hear you, because I don't like hearing no either. I'm not a yellow personality, but I really don't like no. But I'm like on the other side of it. I was like, how can we turn this no into a yes? Just be okay with a no. And here's the thing is, you know, we hear no and we go, oh my gosh, it must be me. They don't like me, right? We take it so personal. If you owned a coffee shop, right? And you offered them, right? Like the peppermint mocha, and they're like, no, I would rather just have the Americano. You wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, they didn't want the peppermint mocha. What's wrong with me? Is it me? Right? Is it is it the way that I look? Is it the way that I said it? I mean, they just didn't want the peppermint mocha. It's okay, right? Or what if, right, they don't even want to buy at all? They come in, they look, and they're like, nah, this is not for me, and they walk out. Again, if you owned a coffee shop, you wouldn't take it personal and go, oh my gosh, why didn't they buy from me? Is it me? What did I do? What's wrong with our menu? What's happening? You don't take it personal, but I think because this is our home-based business, right? Like we do it out of our home. It's easy to take it personal, but I just want you to like kind of just switch it in your mind a little bit that what if you owned a coffee shop? How would you approach this, right? You would still show up every single day, serving up coffee, right? Talking to people, putting your ads out there, right? Reaching out, inviting people to come into your coffee shop. You would do it even if people said no. So just accept that people will say no, and that's okay, right? And I love that, you know, what Stacy was saying is, in fact, a no is better than no response at all. And just remember, like, when you give them an out, right, give them a way to go where you can go, it might not be for you, and that's okay. Oh, how does that make you feel when I say that, right? Versus like, I'm going in for the hard sell. Like, are you going to make it to this class? I need to know, right? Versus, I would love for you to come to this class. I mean, if it's not the right time for you, that's okay, right? Like, who would you be more likely to say yes to next time? It's okay to give them an out. Again, if you remember at the beginning of this call, how many of us said it took 8, 10, 20 exposures before we said yes? We all said no, you guys. Every single one of us said no before we said yes. So, you know, just coming from that place, like Jennifer talked about, connection, serving, right? Being present. I hope you guys remember all of these amazing tips. I'm so thankful for Jennifer, Stacy, Christina for all of their amazing tips. It was so, so good. So we've got 5 minutes left. Does anybody have questions that you want us to answer? I hope you guys got a lot from this call, taking into action. Any other questions before we go? Don't forget to copy the resources, okay? I'll also post it in the group as well for everybody to share. But make sure you grab those. Abundance tracker or the stat tracker and the 2 videos. Bridget, really great question. Do you call it a class when you invite? Yeah, so if I'm actually teaching a class, I do call it a class. Sometimes I'll call it a workshop, like an online workshop. It just kind of depends on who I'm talking to. And I do feel like it sort of changes too. I feel like workshop is like a good keyword right now, but who knows, next year it might be called something else, right? But I'll say I'm teaching an online workshop and I think you'll really love it. Please come and let me know if that time doesn't work for you. I'll probably have another one coming up soon, right, that I can invite you to. So I do call it a class or a workshop. Laura, people asking, how do you respond to the no? The no, I feel like when you make them feel good, right? Like when they say no, go, that's okay. Maybe there'll be another time soon. Would it be okay if I contact you again and let you know when I've got more classes on the schedule, right? So I think when you offer like an alternative, that's a really great option. Or, you know, can I contact you again, you know, if things change, right? I think just you give them an out, accept the no, offer an alternative. And then like what Jennifer said, like keep going with that connection, serving them. Maybe they have something going on that has nothing to do with oils and you send them a link to an article, right? And they know, wow, she really cares. So that's always great too. Other questions? You guys are good. Wasn't this topic amazing? I feel like this might need to be one of the first videos we show our new builders. Okay, you guys, it looks like questions are wrapped up. All right, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us or to your enroller who can help you as well. We'll have the replay up very, very shortly, along with the links to all of the different resources that we talked about. You guys, I just wanted to say kudos to you for being here and spending the time and pouring into yourself, because remember we said 80 to 90% is focused on prospecting and growing your business. But this right here, the personal development is really important too. So kudos to you guys for being here and being focused on growing and learning from your business. Huge thank you. Can you guys type in the comments? Can we give a huge round of applause and thank you to Jennifer, Stacy, and Christina. They are amazing, right? I know. That's why I was like, please do this with me. And we'll have the replay up. Yes, we'll put the replay in all the places. Don't worry, you'll find it. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, ladies. This was so good. All right. Bye, you guys.